Hello there everybody, mostly back again with a brand new video, and today I have watched all three of the Unlucky Tugs timeline videos of the Railway series, the Model series, and the CGI series. So, now that we have all the three timelines, I have took it upon myself and break them all down to each different categories and just try to pinpoint exactly what date exactly could these series take place. As Unlucky Tug said, I'm just taking his type of inspiration and then try to craft my own type canon. So as I said, this is just my opinion. This isn't hardcore fact or anything, but let's just go ahead and dive in and just see what we got here. So coming at number one of the timeline series is the Railway series, and I marked this as the golden age, as series 1 to 4 are all the Railway series stories, and I've marked these years between 1915 to 1972 because, as the Unlucky Tug said, Thomas and Edward in both Railway series and Model series, they were the first engines to arrive on Sodor to help with the Northwestern Railway's construction. And so I figure, since the majority of the Railway series was always about the Northwestern Railway, mostly. I mean, yeah, it did talk about the Scaroli Railway and stuff, but it didn't really took too much of the 1860s, I guess you could say, when Scaroli arrived on Sodor. So I just kind of went along with the Northwestern idea because the Unlucky Tug said that in the Model series, he thinks that the events of You Can't Win takes place during the Northwestern Railway. So I just went ahead and just marked 1915, the year that Thomas and Edward arrived and the beginning of the Golden Age episodes begin. And I end the year in 1972. I'm going to go ahead and retcon a little thing that the Unlucky Tug states in his Railway series timeline. I'm going to go ahead and change the Railway series book number 27, Really Useful Engines, and I'm going to place that in 1972 because it's in the classic series, and the book more about Thomas the Tank Engine, I marked that in 1955, as in the Model series, whenever they adapted it, they made it a Percy coming to work on the branch line or something like that. I just feel more better if it's like in 1955 and then 1972. You could say that Toby's special attraction is just like a one-off thing that happened way later in the Christopher Audrey, as they didn't really adapt too much of the Toby Trucks in Trouble book. Golden Age, 1915 to 1972. Next up on our list is the Classic series, which is the middle years. As the Unlucky Tug says, he likes to think that Classic series from season 5 to 7 takes place between the late 1960s or the early 1970s. And I thought to myself, what would be a considered of a early 1970s? So I tried to look it up on Google, but for some bizarre reason, it would not give me a straight answer at all. So I just kind of went with my own headcanon that early 1970s is about 1970 to 1973, and then the mid 70s takes place in 1974 and 1976, and then the late 70s takes place in 1977 to 1979, which we'll get into in a bit. So I just took upon myself and just said that the Classic series of the middle years takes place between 1968 to 1973 from season 5 and 7. And also take note that, as the Unlucky Tug said, the episodes in those eras are random, just like the Railway series, but they were kind of straight-laced with the timeline, if you know what I mean. But, oh well. Just know that not every single episode of season 5 to 7 takes place in the same timeline, I guess you could say. It's kind of hard to say, but the episodes are not in order. Next up on number 3 is the hit era, and I'm going to go ahead and say that it takes place between the mid 70s, which is 1974 to 1976, because nothing really much happened except for the Kelsthorpe branch line, which again, I'm going to say that this kind of ties in the connection a little bit. Whenever Gordon, you could say that the events of A Better View for Gordon takes place around 1973 as the construction of the Kelsthorpe branch line, which was in Thomason Saves the Day. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that the airport and Great Waterton and all those types of events all happened between 1974 to 1976. And that also includes all the new engines that arrived in this era too. So there's some more leeway there. Next up on number 4 is the Miller era. And I like to go ahead and just throw this out there and just say they all take place in the 1977 to 1979 because, well, I guess you could say that it's everyday and an adventure type universe. Even though there's like 4 movies and there's like 2 years right here, you could still make the exception of, crafting your own canon. After all, in Day of the Diesels and between Day of the Diesels and King of the Railway, Norman states that it's been between 2 years. So keep that in mind. Next up is number 5, Andrew Brenner era. And I went ahead and marked this as 1980 to 1982. I didn't use the early, mid, and late no more on this part because, as I said, there's nothing really much that went on. You could say that King of the Railway and Tell the Braid takes place in 1980, and then Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure, season 19, 20, and The Great Race all takes place in 1981, and Journey Beyond Sodor and season 21 all takes place in 1982. And then finally, on number 6, we got Big World, Big Adventures. And I went ahead and I squeezed as much as I could to fit between 1983 and 1984. Which, again, I'm going to go ahead and say that's inaccurate and unrealistic. But that's all I have for an idea between 3 seasons of this adventure. Series, whatever. But finally, the next 2 that are left is number 7, the Christopher Audrey series, which all takes place between 1984 and 2011. It's also around this time whenever the TV series starts being getting aired. And you also have to take into the account that there is a 11-year gap between the Wilbur Audrey series and the Christopher Audrey series. And then finally, at number 8, the last Thomas era is the Extended Railway series, which takes place between 1997 and 2006. Alright, now that we already have all the 8 timelines down, I guess that go ahead and subs it up, and I could go ahead and wrap up this video. Alright guys, that kind of concludes with this video today, and that's my own interpretation of every Thomas series in one timeline. Now, I know the Unlucky Tug said that Thomas and the Magic Railroad is not canon in any of these series, and he's probably is right. That's probably what the Ghislaine era, whenever they did season 6 and 7, was thinking. They're trying to avoid it, but I still am trying to figure out, is it possible to try to include that movie? And then I realized something. In order to figure out what year Thomas and the Magic Railroad takes place in, is to figure out what what events or what timeline did Shining Time Station is, because now that I'm more thinking about it, Thomas and the Magic Railroad is so not like Thomas, I guess you could say, is because it's more of a movie about Burnett Stone, Lily Stone, and Missing Conductor. So if we can somehow figure out what timeline event did the Shining Time series takes place, and we just figure out the Missing Conductor family, I bet we could somehow tie in that into this timeline. Because I bet that movie, I strongly do feel like that movie is very important to Thomas. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and go ahead and get out your hair. And this is Mostly signing off, and thank you all for watching. Please like this video, share this video, and subscribe and see more content, as I'm starting to make videos now, and I got to get back into the swing of things. But it's just been a while since I talked to the camera and stuff, and a lot of things is going on. This is Mostly signing off, hoping to see you all in the brighter and later.